AgWeek Weather is sponsored by Bremer Bank. Connect with a banker today at bremer.com.
How will the weather fare for the last week of August? Here's John with our AgriWeather outlook.
Well, it is just about September, and over the next couple of weeks, the pattern will show nothing that resembles fall. It's still very much a summery pattern, despite the fact that I've noticed a few leaves beginning to turn. Of course, maples and sumac will often do that in the upper Midwest and Midwest this time of year. The pattern itself, though, still quite decidedly summery. Even as we get into September, I think there'll be quite a bit of opportunity for hot weather, and a lot of this has to do with this big dome of high pressure, this big giant heat wave ridge in the central part of the country, and underneath that it is stone dry, and that's not going to change. Around the periphery there will be some shower chances, but it's going to be, generally speaking, for the corn bean belt and the Great Plains the next couple of weeks, warmer than average and drier than average. That's going to continue. Cold weather, as in high temperatures not that much above freezing or up to around 40 degrees or so, that continues up around Hudson Bay. The jet stream temporarily has delivered some cooler weather into the Great Lakes area in the eastern United States, but in the backside of that, we're seeing hot temperatures this week building up once again. Now, this will waffle a little bit, but it's going to keep things fairly warm, and by about Thursday, there might be one more surge of temperatures up to the 90s or around 90 as far north as the Canadian border, and generally speaking, a lot of this in the bright red is going to be 90s and hundreds. The only cool areas will be the Northeast, New England, and some parts of the Northern Rockies. Now, as we move toward the weekend, I do expect this to be Labor Day weekend. I do expect to see a little bit more of a cool down in the Northern Plains, but that looks temporary. And post Labor Day weekend, I'm still expecting some more hot weather, perhaps even some more 90-degree type weather getting up into the Northern Plains. And a lot of this through the corn and bean belt, Central Plains, and of course the Southern Plains will just continue to be beastly hot. And underneath that, mostly dry underneath this heat dome in the central part of the country. Little to no rain here at all unless we get particularly lucky with some kind of a tropical system wandering up out of the Gulf. The Gulf itself looks very active. I'm not going to try to predict where these may pop up, but there may well be some very heavy rains, some parts of the deep south, and that could impact the Atlantic seaboard. For the Northern Plains, there probably will be a few scattered to widely scattered thunder showers, but the main storm track will be pretty far north on the southern edge of the boreal forest. Out west, there will be some tropical moisture for this first week, but the next week of September, that'll begin to shrink. Dry weather again along the west coast, very likely pretty dry across the Northern Plains, and unless there are some tropical systems, not a whole lot of excessive moisture anywhere across the United States. So to some, late August, early September, generally speaking, warm and dry.